one of the most important devices that every home should have. So let me show you the effect of the rebounder, because the rebounder is, I would quote Albert Carter here, who's seen as an expert on rebounding, the most effective exercise that you can do. But I want to show you why. Now, Albert Carter, back in the 80s, he was a famous trampolinist. He got married, had children, and his wife and his children used to do a trampolining show. They'd go around doing trampoline tricks. And he noticed that his little girl, she was only 4, but he could hold her feet, her ankles, and she could do one-arm push-ups. She was very strong. And his little boy, he was 7, and at school he'd challenge other kids to push-ups whenever anyone picked on him. No one could meet him, 1,000 push-ups. And he thought to himself, why are my kids so strong? They're just so strong. I don't know if he ever looked in the mirror, but you know, he was he's like a bodybuilder. And he did not do any lifting of weights. All he did was rebounding, trampolining. He went to investigate, and he could not find any information on it until he went to NASA. And when he went to NASA, he discovered that they found that when their astronauts came back from outer space, they went into outer space very, very fit, and they came back home again with sometimes 20% muscle and bone loss in their strength. And they found that the only exercise that prepared them for outer space and reduced that loss of strength in muscle and bone and returned them to full strength again, the only exercise was rebounding. So what Albert Carter did, he wanted to know more. Don't you love it when someone wants to know why? Investigate. And he discovered there are 3 forces that come together when you rebound or trampoline. And one is defying gravity. It's actually the only way you can get strength is defying gravity. You have a look at little babies. Within a couple of weeks of being born, they're trying to push their head up, and then they're trying to sit up, and then you lay them on the floor and they're pushing their bodies up. And then when they start crawling, they start getting up on the table, and you put them in the cot and they start jumping. You know the old saying, jump for joy? It seems to be inside of a child to up. What are they defying when they're doing that? They're defying gravity. And that's the only way we can get strength. Isn't that how people get strong from push-ups? They're pushing against gravity. And that's why the astronauts, they were better prepared for outer space. Because what's in outer space? Well, what is there? Nothing in outer space is no gravity. So you're defying gravity. Every time you leap up, you're defying gravity. Also, acceleration is the other force. So when you're jumping on the rebounder, when you're going up, you're defying gravity and you're accelerating. But then you get to the tip and everything stops, is that right? Then you experience deceleration. And then you're coming down. And when you're coming down, you're accelerating again. And then your feet hit the mat, deceleration. And then you jump up again and you're accelerating. Now this is happening, you know, in split seconds every time that you jump. And he found a quote from Einstein that says the body doesn't know any difference between those 3 forces. They all have a powerful effect on the body. And these 3 forces affect every single cell in the body. So there is no other exercise that affects every single cell in the body than rebounding.